everyone. We are so excited to be joined by the team from the Ocean Conservation Trust. We've got Will, Grace, and Evie, who are going to tell us about their incredible jobs. So maybe we'll start with you, Will. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do? I feel like your background is giving us a clue, but I would love to know what you do. What's your job?
I'm Will. I'm the assistant curator here at the National Marine Aquarium, which is part of the Ocean Conservation Trust. So my job is basically to manage the animal care team. And what we do is we maintain like amazing habitats here with lots of amazing animals that are here to basically be ocean ambassadors. So they're here to kind of encourage people to engage more with their marine world and their ocean through basically learning to love the animals that they're seeing in the aquarium. Um, so yeah, what I do is really, really varied. I kind of look after the team. We feed the animals. We make sure they're really well housed and everything is really maintained well, all the life support and everything. We make our habitats as realistic as possible for our animals and as suitable as possible, and make sure they're having a really amazing life.
Wow, that's so cool. How did you end up doing this job?
So I ended up working in this field. I started here about 10 years ago as an intern. And ended up kind of going and doing other things in other aquariums. And eventually, about 5 years ago, ended up coming back and getting a job here because I loved it so much. But before that, I went to university. I did marine and freshwater biology, and yeah, did some diving qualifications, and basically went from there. Really.
Wow, that's really interesting. And you're speaking about diving, and before we jumped on this call, you just casually told me what you were doing this afternoon. So it leads me to my next question, which is what does an average day look like? So tell us what you're doing this afternoon, because I think this is like a little bit more exciting than what most people do in their day jobs.
Yeah, this afternoon I'm diving in our Atlantic Ocean habitat, which is the deepest tank in the UK at 10.5 meters. I'll be guarding. So basically, that means that I'm in charge of making sure the sharks don't get too close to the divers while they're working. So we dive in our habitats to maintain them. Uh, Obviously, cleaning the windows, making sure people can actually see through the windows. We do siphoning, so we take basically a really long underwater vacuum cleaner down there and clean the sand at the bottom. Um, but apart from diving, I do lots of other things as well. As I mentioned before, feeding the animals, we do enrichment with the animals, maintaining all the habitats and the life support. Personally, as the sort of manager, I do a lot of paperwork as well, and just keeping up with the zoo license standards that we follow. Yeah, it's a very, very varied job. We do a lot of
Yeah.
work, plumbing, yeah, all
All
sorts.
sorts. All sorts. It's so funny, isn't it? I'm like, wow, that's probably the most interesting cleaning job I've ever heard of. Cleaning windows and like vacuuming the floor of a tank. It sounds amazing. I'm curious if someone wanted to do a job like yours, what kind of skills would they need?
I would say be really adaptable. So something about this job is that it's really, really varied. As I've already mentioned, there's so much that we can do in a day. So you need to be quite adaptable, able to kind of problem solve as well as you go, and also a passion for the marine world. So a passion for the animals that you're looking after, a
Yeah.
passion for showing them off, basically showing off the ocean to people that come and visit.
And do you have to be able to dive to do your job?
No, you don't have to be able to dive.
Okay.
Um, it helps, but you don't
Yeah.
have to be able to dive. We have a
Okay.
lot of people on the team that don't dive, and yeah, they still are valuable
So
members of the team. So
wow, that's awesome. That's so cool. And I bet I can imagine if you started working in that role and you didn't dive, probably very soon you'd be very tempted to learn to dive so you could get in the water.
yeah, we actually train divers here as well. So we do put
Wow.
not actually on site, but
Yeah.
we put our divers through so our staff through courses so that they can dive in our tanks
Wow, that's
if
amazing.
they want to. They don't have to, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Really cool. Thank you, Will. Let's head over to Evie. Again, I feel like your background is maybe giving us some clues. Can you tell us about your job?
Yeah, so I work in the seagrass team on the Blue Meadows project as part of the Ocean Conservation Trust. The main thing is restoring seagrass. It's super important to restore, and so we try and do that in a number of different ways. We love to tell people about seagrass and how important it is, because not many people actually know about it. And then we've got a lab that we grow seagrass in. And then something that I am more involved in as the dive coordinator is we then take the seagrass that we've grown and transplant it into the sea to restore those habitats. So my role involves coordinating that, basically making sure the diving's running smoothly, that all the paperwork is correct, and organising all of the dive teams.
Nice. And it sounds like so there's some kind of overlap between your role and Will's role. Yours is just diving in the ocean and his is diving in the tank.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how you ended up doing this work?
So I'm still quite new here, but a couple of years ago, I volunteered in the Seagrass Lab for quite a while, and then I completed my dissertation project also in the lab. I've done a bit of freelance diving with the seagrass team, and so all of that experience just kind of all bundled up and landed me this.
So cool. And what does an average day look like for you? Is there such a thing?
No, there's not such a thing. It honestly is different every day. We've got a lot of different projects that we do every week. So, for example, well, different like kinds of planting. So we'll sometimes take the seagrass mats out. Sometimes we take little, like, it's basically like a syringe where we go and inject seagrass seeds into the seabed, or we'll have monitoring dives, or sometimes we're not diving at all and we're hanging out in the aquarium. I help in the lab, make sure the kit's up to scratch and service and everything. So I don't really think there is a standard day in this job.
No such thing as a standard day. And what sort of skills do you think someone needs to do to work in the space that you work in? So I guess kind of in the lab, but also in the ocean and everything you're working on.
Yeah, so diving and fieldwork is inherently difficult, and naturally a lot of problems occur from that. So I think the biggest thing, as in from me, is problem solving. Being able to like think on your feet and solve problems as they come in like a calm fashion, I think is probably one of the most important things.
Yeah, I think that's a useful skill across the board. Thank you so much. Grace, let's head over to you. Tell us about your job.
Hi, well, my job is the Ocean Advocacy Manager for the Ocean Conservation Trust. And part of the Ocean Conservation Trust work, as the others have touched on, is also like majorly connecting people with the ocean through a very people-centered approach is kind of what we do. So we have a lot of varied activities, whether that's on site in the aquarium or out and about or engaging, and some of that messaging encompasses Think Ocean, which is kind of where the advocacy sits. So we're encouraging people every single day to think ocean in their decisions, actions, or behaviour that they're doing. And my role really is sat within advocacy. And for those who don't know what advocacy means, is using your voice for somebody else who can't or isn't able to, or perhaps like the ocean, can't speak for itself. So we are using our voices and our opportunities to meet with people in any walk of life, whether they are just a member of the public or visiting tourists, to our councils, and also to the people who have power to change laws and things like that. So our MPs, and also internationally at the UN, which is the United Nations, which is the like global lawmaking kind of group. So it's really really mixing all of the things.
Really interesting, I bet, because I imagine you speak to all of those different groups of people quite differently. I'm wondering how you ended up doing this job.
I have not had a traditional career path this way. I have not volunteered for the organisation that I will now work for previously. However, I started off I did a degree in rocks and geology. That was based in Plymouth, so I did know about the aquarium before, and I've been local to Devon. But after that, I kind of found myself looking at what experience I had and trying to get a job, and I didn't really know what to do, so I shifted into an animal welfare charity. And then I spent a bit of time being hands-on with animals, but then made my way into the international department there, where I kind of learnt about all the kind of ways that animal welfare can help with development internationally, and then found myself ending up in the advocacy department, where I really found that I really enjoyed speaking up for other people and speaking up for animals who couldn't use their voice. But alongside that and that huge experience, which I'm very grateful for, I was still like, throughout my life, ocean has always been there, whether it's like sharks or things like that, or just stuff that I have around the house that's full of ocean creatures and marine stuff. And then managed to find the job here, and applied and was successful. Not throughout many unsuccessful attempts before, but I'm very glad to have ended up here because I absolutely love it.
Wow, that's so cool. Is there such a thing as an average day for you? What are the kind of things you get up to in your let's go week rather than day? Like, what would an average look like for you?
I feel like I can echo with the others. There's no normal day really, but I think that's a benefit of being in like often the charity sector, but sometimes in this kind of marine space, is that it's required to be a random day and kind of go through things. And whilst you said week, I think like I have busy times of the year when conference season happens, which tends to be from like June, July to September. And then the rest of the year is kind of a little bit quieter, but not really. So I suppose on an average week, I could spend some time in the office, and then I get to be surrounded by passionate people and kind of work and plan and sort and write letters and things that need to just be ticking along, both in things that help strategically, like the long-term picture of where we go, or planning for those events later on in the year, and the day-to-day, and encouraging like all of our supporters and things like that to think ocean, and how we're going to do our like Think Ocean challenge or something, which is a great little quiz if you haven't already done it. And
Amazing.
the like conferences are long days, so you have to be prepared for those long days, like working from early morning till late at night kind of thing, networking, attending things, taking notes, which can be quite mind-blowing because there's lots of information to take on board and things like that.
Wow. And what skills would someone need if they wanted to shift into, I'm going to broaden it and say kind of any kind of advocacy role? What are the skills someone needs for that?
I think the two main skills is creative thinking. Creative thinking is one of the big ones, because you're consistently trying to look for opportunities to kind of get your message in or speak for them, and that might not always be in the traditional way of going to speak to somebody. I've had many a conversation in a queue. Everyone loves to queue. That's a really good place to have a conversation. But it also could be like, what's the best way to get people excited about the ocean? Is it to take them out on the water? Is it to have a conversation? Is it to ask them about what they love? And then the second thing is to be able to talk with passion. Like lots of people, and I think probably even listening to people on this call, like when you love your job, when you love what you're doing, when you love what you speak for, it really comes out in everything that you say. And so therefore people innately want to kind of be around to find out more. And I think that's two key skills that kind of get you there.
Yeah, that's really useful. I'm going to fire around a few more questions. So Evie, What's the most surprising thing about your job?
Not to echo it again, but I think it genuinely is just how different every day is. Like
Yeah,
coming into this job, um, it's not that I expected it to be quite like structured, but
yeah,
it's not just like diving. I help with like so much more than that. It's like field work and stuff in the lab, and I, help with. Sometimes we go and do like outreach days, so I'll go and help with that, teaching people about the importance of the work we do, and just like I don't know. I just think that is just it's not what I expected. It's
yeah.
like expect the unexpected, right? It's so different every day.
Yeah, that's so cool. Will, I'm going to ask you the same question. What's the most surprising thing about your job?
Um, Basically, it's how the animals have personalities. So that's something that I didn't really realize before. I started working closely with animals, is that
Yeah,
they do each have their own personality. They obviously have the ways that they kind of live,
yeah,
and things that they do, but within that, you'll get animals that are a bit more feisty, animals that will um, be a bit shyer, animals that have quirks, like for example, when you're diving with them, that will interact with you differently, even depending on the diver as well. For example, there's one shark in Ocean Tank who will always a zebra shark called Zeus, who basically will always just come and sit on my back during
No,
a dive,
yeah,
which is pretty cool. So just things like that, it's quite surprising. It's not something that you kind of think that you. I think a lot of people wouldn't think that fish would interact in that way, and they do,
yeah.
which is really, really interesting.
I love that. I love that the rest of us are navigating multiple human personalities in our job, and you are also navigating animal personalities. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Grace, I'm curious, like, if a young person wanted to get into advocacy, so I know you've spoken about the skills that are needed,
Mhm.
but if someone's still at school, what are the kind of things they could do to get involved to kind of start this pathway?
So I would say find what you like about advocacy, because there's a broad spectrum of tools and activities you can do. So some of them sit at the very like you can be very activist and you can go out and shout and raise banners and do marches and those kind of things. You can also go all the way to just writing letters to your MP or engaging with your local council, or it could be as simple as just talking amongst friends and building your community to make them understand why you feel so passionately about something. So I would say firstly to like find your blend of what you like to do, because all of them are valid and all of them are needed at the same time. So
Yeah,
we need a mix of everything. And probably to really like just delve into organizations that are already kind of doing it, to
yeah,
learn from them, to learn different ways of doing it. In the marine sector alone, there are several different organizations that are doing different kind of techniques as to how we make change.
yeah.
So finding a few that you love, getting behind a passion or a cause that you like, or it doesn't have to be marine. There are lots of different things out there,
Yeah.
but those are the two bits I would probably say.
Yeah, that's really useful. And I mean, I feel like Will and Evie are good examples of people, well, and you too, in terms of people who volunteered in different places and got experience and ended up doing that as a job. I'm curious, Evie, whether your job has changed how you see and feel about the ocean.
Yeah, I think it definitely has. I grew up around the ocean. I've always lived in the southwest, so it's always been a big part, and I've always cared quite deeply about it. But then doing this job and being able to see the habitats that we're trying to restore up close, and just seeing like both positive and negative points, seeing how the work we're doing is amazing and successful, but then equally seeing how impacted these environments are, and almost gives you a reason to why we're doing this project, like being able to see the problem up close. It really helps, like, power.
Yeah, and I was going to say it's rare, isn't it, to sometimes be working in a space and to be like literally spending time in the environment that you're working to protect. Like there's not as many people that are always as hands-on, so that must be, really interesting, but also sometimes confronting, I guess, to be seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you see all of these, you see so many people talking about the things, but then to actually see it with your own eyes, again, both positive and negative, because being able to see the work that we're doing succeeding is an amazing feeling. Like returning to the sites that we've planted at and seeing a meadow there it's like
incredible.
It's brilliant.
Yeah. That's so cool. Grace, we're almost out of time, so I'm going to come to you to finish up, because you mentioned earlier this quiz, the Think Ocean quiz, and it feels like the best thing that people could go and do after watching this. Where do they need to go? Tell us a little bit about the quiz.
I love that. Yes, it helps you find your ocean personality and things that you can do for the ocean in mind. So it's the perfect thing to do, to dip your toe in the water, as it were. But you can find it on the Ocean Conservation Trust's website, or searching for Think Ocean on some of our socials, because we always post about it. And that's a good way to get involved with kind of all the bits that we do, is heading to everybody's website. So the National Marine Aquarium have a website and socials. Blue Meadows also has a website and is regularly featured on both the Ocean Conservation Trust and the National Marine Aquarium kind of socials. So get stuck in, follow, like along, have a go at the Think Ocean Challenge, share your results with us. It's really cool.
Nice. All right, I'm going to go do that right now. Thank you all so much for your time. Really excited to learn more about all your work, and really inspired. And thank you for all of the incredible stuff that you do. Lovely to see you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.